Back in 2014, the OnePlus 5, the proverbial flagship killer, was supposed to be the smartphone to compete with the likes of Samsung and Apple at just half the price. As OnePlus's first device, it was a big risk with a massive payoff, as third-party development continues to happen for the device today. 3 years later, we see OnePlus release their sixth device, the OnePlus 5. Is OnePlus still the blockbuster device company at the bargain basement price, or has the flagship killer finally set sail? This is my full review of the OnePlus 5. What's going on YouTube? My name is Chris and welcome to A Modern Nation. What originally attracted me to OnePlus is the same thing that attracted many people to OnePlus's original philosophy: high-end hardware at a bargain price. The support from custom ROM maker Cyanogen sweetened the deal, making the device very enticing for modders such as myself.
Many people still haven't heard of the company OnePlus. The company was started in 2013 by Pete Lau, the former vice president of Oppo, a prominent phone manufacturer in China, and OnePlus's current CEO, Carl Pei. The idea was to create a smartphone that was powerful yet affordable, a no-nonsense phone that was as powerful as the big boys at half of the price. In 2014, the OnePlus One was born, and so was the moniker, the flagship killer. In the early days, OnePlus received criticism about everything from their online invite system for purchasing the device to the lack of customer support. However, OnePlus was able to market and sell their smartphone with online marketing and word-of-mouth advertising only, a brave and risky strategy for the time. Fast forward 3 years later, and OnePlus is looking to repeat the magic that the OnePlus One had with the OnePlus 5. Let's take a look at the hardware first. The OnePlus 5 is carrying some top-shelf specs, sporting a Snapdragon 835 processor, the same processor found in the Galaxy S8, and a whopping 8 gigabytes of RAM, more than I think is necessary. Storage capacity is at 64 or 128 gigabytes, no different from the previous phone, the OnePlus 3T. However, 3 years later, Cyanogen has left and OnePlus has developed their own Android-based operating system, known as Oxygen. The OS is quick, no doubt, and the RAM does allow for many windows to be open at once. But I might not notice a performance difference between the OnePlus 5 and other top-tier phones, such as the Galaxy S8, Pixel XL, or LG G6, which utilize the same processor and half as much RAM. After all, most phone performance is a result of the optimization of the operating system. We already know that the 835 they share is a performance monster. While I'm happy with a surplus of RAM for the phone, I'd be just as happy with 4 gigabytes of RAM if it meant a decrease in price. This is classic OnePlus doing what they do best, blowing away the competition on the spec sheet. The phone features a full 1080p HD AMOLED display, which has been manufactured by Samsung according to my research. The colors are very vibrant and the display looks very impressive for 2016. Today's top-tier phones support Quad HD 1440p resolutions, and it's sad to see that OnePlus is still going for the same 1080p display as the OnePlus 3 that debuted a year ago. I'm not bothered much by it, as I think the AMOLED display is a great alternative and still holds its own today, especially at this price point. But if OnePlus hopes to continue being the flagship killer, then maybe there's room for some improvement in this area. Many things have been kept the same from the previous phone, the OnePlus 3T. A 16-megapixel front-facing camera to keep your selfie game strong, a lightning-quick fingerprint sensor from the OnePlus 3, and 2 capacitive buttons. The headphone jack is missing. Just kidding, it's on the bottom. I'm looking at you, iPhone. USB Type-C charging, bottom-facing speaker, a volume rocker, and alert slider switch on the left side of the phone. The alert switch has 3 settings: ring, silent, and do not disturb, and the settings for each of these can be customized in the software. There's a SIM card tray and power button on the right side of the phone. The SIM card tray supports dual nano SIM cards, but I would have liked to see a return of the optional micro SD card slot, but that's nothing against the phone. The phone comes with a factory installed screen protector, and be aware that if you want to change this screen protector for a glass screen protector, the beveled edges on the screen could be a problem for you. I'd like to move our attention to the battery now. The battery on this phone is a 3300 milliamp hour non-removable battery. No wireless charging on this device, but it does support dash charging, OnePlus's own version of Qualcomm's Quick Charge 3.0. The battery on this phone is phenomenal, lasting almost 2 days between charges. Oftentimes, I even forgot where I left my dash charger. The dash charger is a 5-volt, 4-amp charging system consisting of a juiced-up iPhone charging adapter and OnePlus's trademark red and white USB cable. The dash charger was incredibly fast, taking my phone's battery from 10% to about 70% in under 30 minutes, and this is while the phone was on and continuing to receive notifications. The downside to this system is that the battery is non-removable, which means when the phone is dead, it's dead. There's no extra battery to swap in like in other phones, but this has been a OnePlus decision from the very beginning, and many manufacturers are moving in this direction. This allows for OnePlus to increase the battery size without having to make a compartment for it inside of the phone, which leads to longer device life. Dash charging only works with the dash wall charger or car adapter. The cable itself will charge the device much slower in comparison, so don't lose these little adapters. The real star of the show is the camera on the back. Developed in conjunction with image processing and quality rating company DxO and modeled to look nothing like the iPhone 7 camera, the OnePlus 5's camera has a 16 megapixel sensor and 20 megapixel telephoto sensor. I had 2 weeks to play with the camera, and I must say, it doesn't disappoint. Photos are very clear with an awe-inspiring shallow depth of field effect, which photo aficionados affectionately refer to as bokeh. The stock photo app that doesn't look like it was developed by Apple acts like a professional DSLR with composite HDR support for an incredible depth of field setting in portrait mode. The camera app itself is easy to use and feature-packed, combining normal, portrait, video, professional, panoramic, and slow motion modes. Professional mode gives you the true features of a professional DSLR camera, including aperture, ISO, white balance, manual focusing, and exposure adjustment, and includes this neat histogram. Slow motion allows you to slow down footage, not unlike the iPhone. Panoramic mode is easy to use and produces great photos as well. One thing I really hope for in the future is crossover between the modes. Portrait mode doesn't support 16:9 aspect ratios or professional mode adjustments. Depth is not adjustable in portrait mode, although I did discover if you move closer to an object, you can almost control the blur effect standing 1 to 6 feet away from the subject. In video mode, you can shoot at resolutions of 720, 1080p, 1080p 60 frames per second, and even 4K. Is it true 4K? I guess that depends on how you judge 4K resolutions. It's not perfect, but it's close enough for a phone. I would have liked to be able to control the FPS of the video in slow motion mode. 120 frames per second is all you get. And also, I'd like to be able to make professional adjustments. Also, the camera lacks optical image stabilization in pictures. You just have to hold it steady to take photos. Low light photos and video is still something to be desired. The camera app is going to need more software improvements, but it already looks to be a decent camera with lots of potential, including shooting in RAW mode, which I don't use personally, but for those of you that use professional photo editing programs like Adobe Lightroom, this could be very helpful for removing all of the post-processing on the photos. Keep in mind that this is first and foremost a cell phone. This is not a Canon, Nikon, a Sony, or Red camera. Is this going to replace your 5D Mark III or Panasonic GH4? Of course not. But is it good enough to film YouTube videos? Considering iPhone 7s are popular vlogger cameras, I'd say that OnePlus 5 is very capable. The last thing I want to look at is pricing. So the OnePlus 5 comes in two flavors, the 64GB 6GB RAM version in Slate, and the one that I'm reviewing here, a 128GB 8GB RAM version in Midnight Black. OnePlus is no longer the bang-for-your-buck manufacturer that they used to be, as price continues to increase with each release. If you don't need the latest processor, 8GB of RAM, and a dual-sensor camera, I think the OnePlus 3T is a better value. The The OnePlus 5 in comparison is just an incremental upgrade from the 3T. You still get the same 5.5-inch 1080p Full HD AMOLED display, the same 64 or 128 gigabytes of storage, a Snapdragon 821, which is nearly just as fast, 6 gigabytes of RAM, a slightly bigger battery, dash charging, and a single Sony camera sensor for almost $100 less. Good luck getting one because OnePlus does not sell them anymore. I could not find out where they sell them on their website. Turns out they stopped selling the old model when the new model comes out.
So the question is, should you buy this phone? And I believe the answer is, it depends. What phone are you upgrading from, and when was the last time that you upgraded? Is brand name important to you? Are hardware specs what's most important to you, or does the experience that Samsung and Google provide worth the added cost? At around $500, the OnePlus 5 is still a better deal than most other top-tier smartphones. The camera quality on the OnePlus 5 alone surpasses many Android devices. The quality of its camera is comparable to that of the Google Pixel and the Samsung Galaxy S8. It even manages to outperform the Apple iPhone. So even if OnePlus dropped the flagship killer moniker, one plus side to the company is that they've never settled. Regardless of specs or price, the functionality and features of this device can be appreciated by anyone. I genuinely enjoyed the OnePlus 5, and I think you will too. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button below and share the video. Join the nation and get subscribed today by clicking on the subscribe button below. And when you do, click on the bell icon inside of the subscribe button to be notified the moment that I release new YouTube videos. I'm releasing new YouTube videos every weekend. I realize my schedule hasn't been consistent as of late, but I am still working on that. Leave me a comment down in the comment section and let me know, what do you think about the OnePlus 5? Does the high-end hardware at a low price entice you to buy the OnePlus 5? For those of you that own the OnePlus 5, let me know, what do you like and not like about it? What are some of the pros and cons? That might actually help people decide whether they're interested in buying the device or not. If you have any other questions or comments, you can leave them for me in the comment section below. And as always, you can reach me by social media. I'm available via Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can catch me streaming video games every Friday and Saturday on Twitch. The schedule is posted to my right. Thank you for watching my review of the OnePlus 5. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.